We're here at Element Artwork Studio, and we're going to do a studio tour today. Come on inside. All right, this is the business end of the shop. This is where all the computer creativity goes in. The work for the plasma machine happens here. All the CAD happens here. I don't do a whole lot of that, but it does happen here. We have plenty of screens to make that happen. There's my bookkeeper station for the business end of Element Artworks and the gallery. Start you off in the beginning. Here's my newest favorite addition to the shop. It's my Etsy bought leather apron. I've never owned one of these. I don't know, I had some resistance, like buying a minivan maybe. I didn't want to be the old guy with the leather apron on, but here I am. I got one and I absolutely love it. The thing's just fantastic. I'll try to hook up a link to whoever makes those on Etsy because they do a great job. I bought one for some of my guys. They're fantastic. Okay. Right, on this end of the shop, this is kind of the metal setup. So tend to do most of the fabrication on this table, a little bit on this table also. This is a Build Pro worktop. I think it's the 4x8 model. This is a custom table that I built. So I built this specifically to handle all my specific tools. I'll walk you through this one. I think a lot of people know the benefits of the Build Pro table. These things are just absolutely awesome. Highly recommended if you can fit it in your budget for a shop. They save so much time and they're just so convenient and they just hold up fantastic. We have two of them. We have one in the San Rafael shop, one here. Use it on a daily basis, both for woodwork and metalwork. Mostly for metal, but for wood, building gates, building furniture, cabinetry, just having that fixture, that ability to clamp, the quick release, they're just fantastic. This table here was a custom build that I designed and built specifically for what I needed to use here in the shop. It was to replace an old table, the first thing I ever made with a welder. It's got some little, custom additions here for all my clamping, my vice grip rack, with plasma cut, and made these racks to hold all these pieces, so that's super convenient. These things are removable, so this panel is bent, and there's two pieces of flat bar welded in between these verticals, and these things just slide in, so I can replace this rack with something else if I wanted to. This is just a piece of bent steel, 1/8-inch steel that's been plasma cut and bent over. So some of the other things I like about this table is that I've bored out all these 5/8-inch holes, and so these holes will work with the Build Pro fixtures. These are the Build Pro fixtures. If I take it over here to the Build Pro table, and so I designed my table to be able to accommodate that too. So what I've done here with this table is drill out a pattern that handles some of the pieces that I like to work with, which is some of the smaller pieces I'll work with on this table. And so all these holes are 2-inch spacing, and again, same concept, where I can use these Build Pro table parts on my table here and be able to lock these all in place and fix a piece onto this table and also have it work on there. This 1/2-inch plate has been plasma cut out, and this is removable. So I can replace this with another pattern if I wanted to. I haven't had the need to do that yet, but I just wanted this piece to be versatile. One other aspect of this table that I like are these racks, and these again are to house all the Build Pro fixtures. So these are all the block nuts for the Build Pro table, and again, just plasma cut plate, bent and rolled over and then welded or mechanically connected to the legs of the table. So that'll house all those parts for the fixture table. This end of the table is kind of my favorite part of this build, and it's because it's got the Build Pro fixture racks on there, so I can house all my Build Pro fixtures, which work on both of these tables. And then this little slide out, super simple, but it's a slide out rack. See threaded wing nuts on the underside here, which you can tighten up. You can see how that lifts just there. And that'll lock this in place and keep it completely level with this table. Any long pieces or any pieces that I need to plasma cut, I have the small little handheld hypertherm here. I can just slide that out, blast it with the plasma. right, taking it around the front of the table. Another little, again, simple add. It's just adding a piece of flat bar to the underside to hang your grinders. So most metal fabricators, woodworkers also will have multiple grinders. I probably have, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these that I have with a different, attachment on each one. So I can hang all those here whenever I'm working. They're all out of the way. All right, so moving on to this side of the shop. This is kind of my forging station. And this is where I keep my blacksmithing tools and kind of do a lot of the heavy hitting. I have my anvil over here. I love this thing. I got this about 15 years ago. Paid about $200 for it, and that's paid for itself 100 times over. It's just a great little anvil. This table, I don't know what this was from, but it came out of an old machine shop, so it housed some big piece of equipment, probably a big press, but it's very stoutly built. And so again, it's another 1-inch piece of plate here that I can really beat on when I'm forming something up, or I need to pound on something flat or flatten something out. It's a table that I can really beat on. And so no shop is complete, in my opinion, without a good vise. This is my Wilton vise. I think this is the tradesman version. They make a bunch of them. It really makes a difference having a good quality vise in your shop versus, I think this is an old Irwin. It's okay, but working with this is just such a pleasure versus that. And I know there's some really high quality newer vices out there now that even apparently surpass the Wilton. So again, these are just racks, plasma cut racks that are custom for whatever tools that you want to set up. In this case, it's going to be the tongs for the forge. Same thing over here. This is the hammer rack. Really similar design, just slightly tighter notches for the flat bar that goes through and supports those. I just have a variety here, from ball peens to shaping mallets to flat and texturing hammers. I just have a variety of what I use. I don't think you can have too many hammers or so many different usable tools that for shaping metal or for forging. So this is just a little propane forge. I've had this for years. I bought this, again, like 15 years ago. Very just serviceable for small work. I don't tend to need much more than that. I think eventually I'd like to get a larger forge, but for now this works great for the pieces that I'm working on. It's got a pass-through window in the back side, which is nice. So you can push longer pieces through there if you need to and heat up that location. So these are these forming blocks that I make. This one was just for I think this was an eye that I was working on. And so I just dished this out with the grinding tools, shape out the form that I'm going to be using, and I'll often repeat and reuse the same. It's just a beater block basically to shape whatever it is that you need to shape. This one's really beat up, so it's about done. I need to probably cut off the end and put my shapes back into it, but that really only takes a minute. This LS bandsaw has been priceless for me. I love this tool. It is a horizontal bandsaw. Right now it's in the vertical position, so it's convertible. You can release the arm and tilt it up in the position that it's in, add this plate, clamp it in place, and you have a vertical bandsaw. I use it mostly in the horizontal configuration, but from time to time when I need to do some vertical cutting, I'll set it up like this. It's nice to have the dual purpose, takes up less space for a small shop like this. Space is so valuable that having a tool that can do both of those. I would love to have a better, bigger vertical bandsaw, but having this dual capacity is fantastic. You can clamp and cut multiple pieces at the same time, and you don't have to babysit it while it's cutting. So you can set it up, set the speed at which it cuts, and then leave it and go do something else. So it's a really efficient tool. One thing that that's super useful in a shop is our air. And so I have air in multiple locations in this shop. There's a big roll here on the wheel. So this will extend to just about any location. I'll have it in the corner over here. I have it at the downdraft station, and then I have it at this welding table. If I need any of these pneumatic tools, it's just plug and play. So again, this is just a little plasma cut rack. Actually, this one was purchased. I think this is OC Fab. So that's something that I bought, but it's specifically for hanging these tools, which is fantastic for it because it just fits on there. Keep your pneumatic tools, and you can store all those So this is a great addition to the shop, and this is a Denray downdraft table. This has been in the shop 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. Purchased this specifically to contain some of that metal dust that every metal shop has to deal with. Whenever you're grinding, cutting metal, you're putting that dust on the table, on the ground. If you can try to concentrate that into one location, that's always helpful. Ideally, I'd have a specific grinding room. Don't have the space for that yet, but this does serve that purpose for now. Magnet switch. I keep it at my grinding station because when I have small parts, I can just attach them to this, turn the magnet on, and it'll hold that in place while I grind. It'll throw my dust into the downdraft table, and it kind of keeps all that contained. Say, for example, I just want to clean up this side of this piece of metal. If I set that there, if I turn the magnet on, that's locked in place. So you can pull it off with a fair amount of force, but plenty of strength to, then take your grinder, clean that up. Turn the magnet off, flip it over, do whatever you got to do. It's locked in place. Here's another little trick that I've found to be useful. I keep my grinder on a magnet here. So this is a plate. Let's see if I can show this. So basically, you can see that. It's a plate that's bolted to the bottom of this grinder. I just have it in a magnet vise. So I can move it anywhere on this. And if I need it all the way out here, I can do that. I flip the magnet. It's then locked in place and I can use it. If I need to get it out of my way, I can turn that magnet on. Slide it out of the way. So this is it's a Versa mag, and basically it's just a vise, the magnet, and you have your switch, which activates the magnet. I came across this brand recently just searching for a magnetic vise. Had great reviews. I've been super happy with it. It's extremely strong, and again, that will translate to being able to use that on any of these tables, any metal base. Magnetic vices are fantastic. So moving on to this end of the shop, we're going to look at some of the welders that I've been using. These are kind of tried and true welders that I've had for years. I tend to operate with 3 different welders: standard MIG, a TIG machine, and then a MIG that I will also use for silicon bronze MIG brazing. So I'll have those two machines set up. So here we have the 211. This machine's been around for a long time. This is probably an older 211. I don't know how many years old it is. I've seen some of the new ones are quite a bit smaller. Doesn't handle a lot of thickness. I tend to use it more around the 1/8 inch for the stuff that I do, and I'll use this all the time on 110 or on 240. I will use it primarily to just MIG weld mild steel with an argon CO2 mix. And I just have it, ready to go anytime. Moving on, sticking with the MIG machines. This is my Miller-Matic 255. More recent machine for me. I've had it about a year and a half. I love it. It's absolutely been flawless for me. I'm using it primarily as a MIG brazing machine right now. I've had it set up that way almost since I bought it. I've used it, with mild steel or with steel wires as well. But it's working great in that respect, and those are just the projects I'm doing right now. I don't foresee that being too long term. I'll probably switch to something else, but it works fantastic in that capacity, and it's part of the reason I got that specific machine. This is the newest of my welders. This is my Syncrowave 210 TIG, and this specifically is a TIG machine. I got that to work with bronze and with a lot of the finer, smaller stuff that I'm working on. It's a great machine. I've been really happy with it. I've used other TIGs in the past, and most of them were multi-process machines, and they just did not function as well as this. So I've been really happy with this machine. All right, an important thing for me in the shop is to keep it organized and keep things reachable and where I know they are, so I can keep that creative flow going. If I have to stop what I'm doing and look and search for something, it really kind of shuts that process down. So having things in a location where you know where it is, you can find it quickly, you can use it, and then put it back and be able to move on and keep some sanity within the space. That's really helpful to me. I know if I walk in a room and it's cluttered and there's mess everywhere, I don't get shit done. So if I can be here and this is one of those things where this is my consumables rack. Consumables end up all over your shop if I'm working on a project. I mean, inevitably that you create a mess. But if you can keep that contained and keep those things in one place and have a home for those things, that's super helpful to me. And it's really changed the game for me in terms of having a shop organized enough that I can operate well in and keep the efficiency up. Any shop has clamps. This is my clamp rack. I got a whole variety for both wood and metal. I tend to use them mostly on wood projects, but they transfer over to just about everything. So I have a series of metal clamps and a series of wood clamps. Everything from these relatively inexpensive Irwins to these Bessie. I use these a lot for building gates, doors, anything custom kind of panel oriented. These are fantastic clamps. They're extendable. Corner clamps. Here's a 90-degree clamp for, say, a metal gate where you have a 90 and two pieces of tubing. If it's too big for your table and it's floating out in space, you need to clamp that at a 90 to be able to get it configured. These are great. We have the old pipe clamps, a variety of those. So whatever you need to get the job done, but clamps are definitely something of high use. I use them all the time. Having those in a nice location where they're accessible. Some people use a rolling clamp dolly. I think that's great if you have the space. I kind of need mine out of the way because it's a limited shop, so I keep them on this rack. All right. So this is our CNC plasma table. This is a Psychic 8. It's a fantastic machine. It's a 4x8, so it'll take a 4x8 sheet of steel. And I'm running it on my Hypertherm 65, which is the plasma. So this is the brains of the operation right here. This here is our brake. So it's a Woodward Fab finger brake. I've been really happy with this as well. This we've had in the shop about 3 years. We have our press. This I use all the time, another tool. I think I got this through Summit Racing. It's a Redline stands. You have your Harbor Freight, you have the cheap end, and you have some really expensive ones. This one I would say is kind of middle of the road, but it's fantastic. So it's a 20 ton, actually it's reading 30. I really don't take it above 20, but it's a 20 ton press. And I have it hooked up to our air, and this is the air for the whole shop. We have a big sea air compressor in the back. So this runs all the air tools from the downdraft table and all the pneumatic tools that I have at that table for grinding, sanding, etc., to our blast cabinet here, to the press. All these things are being run on that, including the plasma table. So that's why we have a nice big tank. This thing has just been another workhorse. It's been fantastic. I've had no issues with it, almost no maintenance on it. And it's a fantastic compressor. This is the paint kind of finishing area that I've set up. This is a recent addition that I added to the shop, and this is just a covered awning so that I have a outdoor fresh air space that I can do any painting or touch up. So metal finishes, patina, brushes for putting a patina on, acids, cleaners, all this stuff. I use a lot of the Sculpt Nouveau products. This is a metal oil that I use a lot. They're patinas, Sculpt Nouveau. This is the Universal Verde. I'll use that one quite a bit. Been using that on some of the bronze. So here's one I've been using a lot lately. This is Sculpt Nouveau light green traditional patina. I'm using this on the sand dollars that I've been making, and it's beautiful. It's probably my favorite patina from Sculpt Nouveau on bronze. This is a classic, the antiquing traditional patina. I'll use this on all metals, so this can be used on steel, brass, bronze, copper. We have some old racks out here that we'll set up, and we have multiple pieces, and we'll set them up and finish them. These this awning that I've put up here, kind of designed that in a way where I can clip up a paint booth, so we can kind of put up a temporary paint booth and close everything off to keep dust off of the pieces when we're finishing them. And it works great for that because you get to get some fresh air. It's out of the shop space. You're not taking up your whole shop while you're doing that work, and it's it's in a place where it can be messy. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the shop tour today. My pleasure walking around and sharing the shop. It's one of my favorite things to do is see other people's spaces. So hopefully you got something out of that and got some ideas for your shop maybe, or have some ideas for mine. I'd love to hear it. Anything to add to the shop is always an exciting dive into for me. So add a comment below, and if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.